Hey everyone, I am here today with my good friend Heather Mitz Feely, and Heather is a remarkable woman who has accomplished more than I can wrap my head around sometimes. And not only has she accomplished something that's so great no matter what gender you are, but she's accomplished it as a female athlete, which we all know there's quite a disparity still in some of the opportunities that exist. And there's also certain mindsets that are generationally still existing. And I believe, as you all know, that your beliefs truly predict your outcome. So Heather's going to share with us some of her thought processes and beliefs that got her to where she is today. And so welcome, Heather.
Hey, Jen. Thanks for having me.
Everyone's so excited to have you. I started promoting it yesterday, and everyone's like, yay, they're back, because I haven't done a Facebook Live in a little while. I was traveling a lot, and I was doing the Jumpstart store, which you so awesomely stopped by with your little ones. Before we get started into where you are today, I always think it's so important that people understood how you got there. So give us a little glimpse into what Heather was like as a child, and did you have this grand vision for yourself from early on, or is it something that came later in life? So first, what were you like as a child?
Well, my dad actually blames his baldness on me. I was really hyper. I was into everything. I had a brother 18 months younger than me, and my best memories were just going out in the backyard with him. We'd have these 1v1 battles, which is in soccer terms, it's just he was on offense, I was on defense, and we were always outdoors. My family was really athletic, very active, always doing, things together. I was so fortunate to have two great role models, my parents, that always just supported me and loved me. And no matter what I did, I was going to be able to be successful because they had that support and belief in me.
So that's interesting. So you were already early on encouraged, you were supported, and kind of really given that empowerment of you can do whatever you set your mind to. You're going to have to work. You're going to have to commit. You're going to have to follow through, which are all very important things, but you're going to be able to do it. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think obviously my dad would have, now he's super proud of me, but I think he would have wanted me to be a scientist and come up with like a huge discovery in life. I think he would have rather me have applied it to the educational side of things. But I always loved playing sports, and that was kind of how I could let out my energy, but I also just loved playing soccer. And for me, that was my passion. And, my dad wanted me to play basketball. My mom wanted me to play tennis. And soccer was kind of the one sport where I could just have fun. And I knew that it was something that every single day I could go out there, I needed to get a little bit better. And, my parents instilled in me always having a positive attitude, always being coachable, always working harder than everybody else. Mm-hmm. And that definitely, I think, looking back on that is what helped me to have the success that I did on the soccer field, which is, hopefully you can hear me, Jen.
Yeah, I can. I hear you. So we have Maureen on here. We have Matt on here. We have parents on here that are definitely coaching their kids in a sense. And you had mentioned your mom wanted you to do one thing, your dad wanted you to do another thing. My daughters, and they're gymnasts.
Yep.
I really kind of been indifferent in what I want. I never really had this vision of what I wanted them to do other than to be good human beings. But I see a lot of parents trying to steer based on their own agendas. And your mother. So what are your thoughts on that as to, you found your way in soccer and that was your passion, and maybe it wasn't exactly what everyone's ideal was for you. But how important do you think that is in being supportive as a parent, but not necessarily steering too firmly?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's very ironic. I even went back recently and kind of interviewed my brother, because my brother is the reason why I got into soccer, was because he was into it. And I said, Brian, why did you get into soccer? You know, what made you want to get into it? And he said, because Dad wanted me to play baseball and he wanted me to play these other sports. And he was really, you know, pushing me. And I had to laugh because I didn't know that that's how it worked out for him also. You know, he chose soccer because neither of our parents played it. They weren't really pushing us. And I chose soccer because I loved it, because he did it. And also, you know, even though I know my dad wanted me to play basketball, I know my mom wanted me to play tennis, you know, at the same time, you know, I could do whatever I wanted. I could enjoy it. I didn't feel like they were being overbearing, which they weren't. They were always really supportive, but I think it was just kind of, we got to choose, you know, and I think there is something to be said about parents that are definitely pushing their kids. I think it's unfortunate. I think you got to let your kids, you know, a little push is okay to, you know, get them out there to practice and do the little things, but they have to want to do it. No one else is going to make them do it or make them love the sport.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, they could become resentful if they don't want to do it. My friend James Welsh is on here. He actually he lives in London, and he played football professionally. And he says his dad always wanted to play football, so he felt a lot of pressure too. So he can completely identify with sometimes being pushed a little bit too hard. And so here we are today. Thank God that you did what you did, right?
Yeah.
How many girls, young girls, you have inspired to go to the next level, and the generations to come? Thank God you followed that passion to be able to open up an opportunity path for so many others. It's always funny to me how we could have gone one way or another way, and thank God the way we went allowed to be a pathway for so many others. So thank goodness you listened to your intuition and what you were passionate about. So speaking of intuition, how much have you really listened to your intuition throughout your career? Because I'm sure there's people that told you couldn't do it. I'm sure there's people that put self-doubt into you or tried to create self-doubt. So how did you always go past that into your own conviction?
I think for the most part, I kind of thrive off of people doubting me. And that was what my motivation was. Whenever someone would tell me that I couldn't do something, and I was like, oh yeah, watch me.
Right. Watch me do it.
You know, what'd you say, Jen? Sorry.
Oh, I said, watch me do it. It definitely can be something that fuels you instead of stops you. I think that really kind of depends on your personality. I'm definitely a watch me person as well. But I know that there's a lot of people that I work with that will say that their limitations were based on programmed doubts, and they still continue to play the story as an adult.
Right. And, you know, I think it's all about your mind frame, your thinking, what makes you work individually. Everybody has different things that get them motivated. And for me, it was always when someone doubted me. I love that. I love when you doubt me. And even if I don't achieve it, I think that I will achieve some great things along the way to even try to prove you wrong. So no matter what, something good is going to come out of it.
So you're that way. I'm sure you saw other people on your teams throughout your life that might have been the other way, where maybe, you know, I even watched my daughters, and you know this story because you actually changed this for them. My daughters played, they were being exposed basically to soccer, and they were 5 years old, and it was kind of when everyone was starting to expose their kids, and my girls had the worst experience ever because the coaches were not at all prepared to be coaches. And they were very negative, and they were making fun of the kids, and they were yelling at the kids. And my girls never, ever wanted to have that experience ever again in their lives. And it wasn't until they actually met Heather that it turned it around for them. And they were like, oh, I love soccer, and she's so cool, and I could be her. And it was just a whole different experience for them. So I'm sure you had people on your team throughout your life that you saw doing well, and then somebody creates self-doubt for them and they kind of just fall apart.
Yeah, I mean, and it's so tough because, I mean, I think that's why sports are so great because, you know, the challenges that you have to overcome. And I think a lot of times, you know, we'll see a coach either likes you or they don't. So it's either you're in their good graces and you're a starter, or, you know, you might just be on the team and just be a substitute. But I think, you know, some people can take that personally. It can affect their, if, you know, because this actually happened to me at one point later in my career where a coach wasn't playing me. It was the first time ever. I didn't know what to do, and I was really kind of getting in my head. And so then I went back and go, you know what? I'm just going to go back to focusing on the things that allowed me to get here. Stuff that I know if I put in the hard work, if I'm positive, if I continue to show up on the field and you know, be a good teammate and, you know, continue to try to get better every single day, that regardless of whether or not that coach plays me, whether or not he likes me, I know that I'm still be able to go out there and do the things that have helped me to be where, you know, the reason why I should be there. So even though it's an unfortunate circumstance,
you sometimes need to get back to those basics in order to get back to you, in order to really make it happen. I think is the important part. So, you know, I think that when I watch people get shamed or intimidated by people creating limitations, they often start to believe in those limitations and maybe stop in their tracks in order to, instead of, I should say, doing what you did, where you got back to basics, you put the work in, you said, watch me, I'll show you. And I think that's a really good skill set that most people don't have unless they're really conscious in learning it and staying focused on it. So I think we lost Heather for a second. So for everyone watching, I know that you have definitely, everyone that I'm watching comment, have all been a part of that. So, you know, I think that the greatest way in handling this is really doing some conditioning for ourselves in order to overcome what other people are saying. So, you know, I hear it every day in business. We can't do that because it's not done that way, or because everyone's in television, people say, well, everyone's looking for this. When I always say, well, no one was looking for Survivor when it changed the face of television. And I'd rather be like Mark Burnett than somebody who's copycatting Mark Burnett. So the real challenge is to always stay recognizing our strengths, commitment to our action, and then also understanding that if somebody else, a lot of the gatekeepers in our society are actually the people with the greatest limited beliefs. And if they weren't, they'd be further ahead of where they are. They would be the Mark Burnett, so to speak, as I always say, or they would be Sam Walton and not just doing a certain part or role for Sam Walton. So I use that as an opportunity to say, I'm not going to allow their limited beliefs to become my limited beliefs. Because in order to be successful, you have to be an innovator, you have to be a pioneer, you have to be able to understand that in order to be a pioneer, you're going to do things that no one else has done before. And if you do those things that no one else has done before, then you're going to trailblaze into new paths. There's so much to still be innovated upon. And if we keep listening to naysayers saying, well, that's never happened, I'm pretty sure for Heather, and when she joins us back, I'm going to ask her this, that there's very few people that won the Olympic gold medal 3 times in a row in female soccer. I don't know, quite honestly, if anyone else had, up to the point that she did. So if somebody says you only can do that once, you'll be too old to do that the second or third time, then she would have stopped from really achieving the goals that she had wanted to achieve. And again, like I said earlier, she would have diminished her opportunity to inspire maybe little girls that want to be the next Heather Mitts or some of her teammates. So, so much of the power of being a trailblazer starts with number one, your belief systems. As Heather said, she was fortunate enough as a child to have parents who said, you can do it. We believe in you. And then to have the work ethic to put in. A lot of people want to jump over that work part, but it actually does take work. I can only imagine, and one of the other questions I want to ask her is how many hours she would put in on the field and practice. But then even when practice wasn't existing, all the conditioning work that would happen on your own accord. My daughter the other day was studying and she had missed practice the day before, gymnastics practice the day before. And so as she's studying in her room, I'm hearing all this noise and jumping around. And when she finally came down, I said, what were you doing out there? She said, I was doing a set of whatever it was that we did yesterday that I missed, and then I'd study. And then I'd do another set, and then I would study. And I said, why did you do that? She said, well, because I didn't want to get behind, because everybody else did it yesterday. And that was so powerful for me that she took that self-motivation and that work ethic to commit to doing that. Even though she didn't have to, no one would have seen it, but she did it so she didn't fall behind. And so you need the belief system, you need the conviction and the work ethic, and then you need the tenacity to keep going forward. Despite what other people say, despite what other people's limited beliefs are about what your accomplishments can be, you still have to be able to do that and have conviction. So, yeah, as James said, embrace the future and spend time making the Disney of your industry. So, you know, Walt Disney was told no so many times. You could look it up how many it was, I forget, but he was told no so many times. And he finally created something that generations to come still live in his honor and keep expanding. And so many people grow up to be inspired by him and trying to push the boundaries of innovation. So without that trailblazing and tenacity system, we would be missing out on that. So it's always funny the things that we have that we take advantage of or take for granted, not recognize how hard it was to get there. So pretty much any product or service you use in this world was created by an entrepreneur. And usually, the majority of the time, it took a lot of failures, a lot of pain, a lot of struggle, and a lot of risk in order for you to be using the products and services that you use on a daily basis. So I try not to ever take those things for granted, because I know that somebody else took the chances in order to do that and accomplish that, which is a powerful thing. So unfortunately, it looks like we lost Heather for good. I'm not sure. I see it. She was trying to get on, but we will definitely bring her back at a different time where the internet connection is a little bit more stable for her. But I think we got a lot out of her where it all begins. Oh, she can hear me. She can see me and hear me. Okay. We didn't really lose her. She's here.
Can you hear me?
We can't see you, Heather. But she's here. She can see us and hear us. So hopefully you can reconnect and join us again, because we have all these questions for you. We want to know. Oh, there you are.
Oh, sorry. I'm like, hi.
I kept rambling and rambling.
Yeah, but you're good at it. I'm sitting here. I'm loving your stories too. So I was just listening.
My gift to gab. So yeah, you know, Maureen pointed out it's Mercury retrograde, so this is par for the course that would happen. So we have questions for you though. Did you hear?
So I was rambling on the last one about the people that I've seen, teammates have a difficulty with, you know, overcoming challenges.
Yeah.
Did you hear anything that I said? Because I was going on and on.
Yeah. So we heard up to the part where you said, you know, you used it as you had somebody that did it to you, and you used it as an opportunity to get back to basics, which I think was awesome advice, because a lot of times we forget to get back to basics.
Right.
But give us a little insight about the people that that you had watched let it get into their head, and how much you knew that they had the talent, but they couldn't get back to the belief.
It happens way too often. And, when you were telling me the story about the coach, it makes me sad because, that sometimes that's all it takes is to have that experience like that, because you're taking away the love of the game. And you're giving them a bad experience. And, I think sometimes we rely too much on other people. And when you're really young, you don't know any different. That's all you have. But when you're older, then that's when, you can either do one or two things. You can go, woe is me, and feel bad for yourself and let it work, and, negative things are going to happen. Or you can go, how can I turn this into a positive? And I think that's where it kind of, a lot of times it lies on you and in your mindset. And how can I learn from this, and how can I grow from this?
Yeah. So you point out something really good, because it always comes back to us. At the end of the day, it cannot be anyone else's responsibility but ours. And there's a couple of people that are, saying that it took them some time to believe in themselves again when something transpired in their lives. This is at a time where that's the type of juncture where I think it's most important to invest in a mentor or coach or trainer to help you get over that hump. Roy Halladay did a Through Zero event with us, and he told a story, and it was something that most people didn't know about him. First of all, he's really afraid of public speaking, and which was funny to me, because I'm like, wait, you can stand like as the core focus as a pitcher in a stadium of like 70,000 people and not be afraid. But we're in a room of like 70 people and you're afraid. And he's like, yeah, it's just one of those belief things, right? Which I thought was fascinating. But when he was saying in his baseball career, when he was with Blue Jays, he got into this slump, like a really bad slump. And the more he tried to get in his head to get out of it, he would make it worse and worse. And it was like this downward spiral. And he finally hired this coach who helped him get out of this slump. And I think sometimes we have to find those people to help us. So would you say any of your coaches were some of those people that you would rely on?
Yeah. So, I didn't mention that it wasn't just all me. I think it comes down to a lot of you just believing in yourself once again and doing those things, because you physically have to get out there and do it. But I do think I did rely on my coach here locally. His name's James Galanis, and he had helped me to, gain the majority of my success and have that confidence in myself when I was playing. So when this other coach was, instilling that negativity, I reached out to him and, said, what can I do? And that's when he said, come over and train with me. So I drive an hour and a half after training with my team every single day. And I drive an hour and a half to go train with him. And just from training with him and being around him and having him just go, Mitzi, you're fine. You're still the player that you once were. It's just, it's unfortunate that this coach isn't playing you. So keep doing what you're doing. And that's all it took, I think, the confidence for me to be able to be like, you know what, you're right. And I believe in myself. And then when I was finally given, a challenge by my US coach to prove to her that I was still a good player, I was ready.
So when we lost you for a little bit, I had talked about the amount of hours you must have trained, not just on the field, getting ready for games, but off of that, what else you were doing to supplement your ability to have an edge to be better. And you just shared that with us. You're driving an hour and a half. So in order to be successful, it really isn't just about showing up and doing what's expected, but it's going above and beyond of what's expected in order to be great. And that's what a lot of people don't understand. As entrepreneurs, we have a lot of entrepreneurs on here. We have some salespeople on here. And I think the lessons and the principles are pretty much the same of, when everyone's watching TV at 8 o'clock at night and you need to have that edge, what are you doing? It's funny with the Jumpstart store, I ask a lot of the entrepreneurs when they walk in, do you have a TV? Most of them at this point say, no, I don't. I don't need it. I'm too busy. I'm taking that time to do personal development work instead of sitting and watching TV. So if you want to have that edge and be successful, you've got to go above and beyond. What are maybe some of the other things that you did to go above and beyond? And Maureen's asking if you have a mind hack trick that you do when you're feeling shaken or feeling off course, something to snap you back into it.
Great question. Yeah, I think it's because so much of playing sports especially is just the mental part of things. So it's just going back to the routine of what helps you to have that belief in yourself. A lot of times what I would do is just maybe go watch old video of myself having success and being like, that's how good you can be, and that's how good you need to be today. So just reminding myself of successful things that I've had in the past. And I think that is very positive. What was your other question, Jen? I forget, sorry.
The mind hack. So if you're feeling like you're getting off track and you want to just like get back on track quickly, is there something that you do? You watch the videos would definitely be a part of it, going back to basics, but do you have self-talk? I know I have self-talks. There's mantras that I'll do over and over again to kind of like remind me of where I'm at.
I think for me, what's always helped is just working harder than everybody else. You know, I think that's always just what has helped me to have the success that I've had, and for as long as I have. You know, I'm not as talented as a lot of other soccer players. I am probably the shortest one out there on the field, the smallest one. So for me, you know, I guess just the ability to try to outwork everybody is always what kind of helps me to have success.
Which means don't mess with Heather. We went for a walking meeting the other day, and I was like, please don't ask me to run. Please don't ask me. I never told her that.
I will.
Get there, and she's like, this is like a hilly park that is intense. Like, it will kick your butt. It's not like a flat area.
That's funny.
So at what moment did you say, okay, I want to go for something big here. I want to, because I see my daughter's teammates at this stage. There's been so many role model Olympic gymnasts that it's okay. I could do this. I could try. So it's not as scarce of a conversation, because female athletes in gymnastics has been a dominant thing in the Olympics. Soccer for females wasn't until just recently has it gotten to be so cool. So at what moment were you like, I'm going to do this and it's realistic?
Gosh, probably not till my first Olympic gold medal. So crazy to say, but I was just kind of riding the wave, and you know, I feel like it was a lot of hard work and preparation, but at the same time, there was a little bit of luck that kind of went my way. And then after that, it was, okay, what am I going to do in order to stay here? And not just stay here and be a part of the team, but to play and make my mark. So that's where the whole trying to, you know, not just do the same as everybody else. I had to go above and beyond and really dedicate myself in all aspects, you know, not only training, but also, you know, the fitness and the nutrition and just kind of everything, just being the most professional that you could possibly be, because you know it's a really small window and you got to take advantage of it when you can.
Okay, but you had 3 runs, so that's really impressive. You know, I never looked this up. Has anyone else had that?
So there's 4 of us total.
It's amazing. And where do the other 4 lie in time around you?
Christy Rampone played in the 99 World Cup. She just recently retired. She's a mama too. She's like superwoman. Shannon Box started playing 1 World Cup before me, and so did Heather O'Reilly. So we're all kind of in the same time frame. So do you feel that it seems maybe a little bit more realistic now? And I ask this because I teach women in business all the time. I teach men and women, but when I'm teaching women in business, less than 3% of the wealth of the United States of America is created by females. And that's a significant number in disparity, because women start 3.5 to 1 businesses to men.
And women are almost doubling and graduating from college now.
Right.
So it's not lack of knowledge by any means. It's not lack of trying, because 3.5 to 1 are trying. So, and I will discount, there's a percentage of some women that start businesses to have flexibility, not necessarily to be a mogul. But there are a lot that really do want to become very successful, but there's not enough women that have been identifiable role models to them. And I see this when I'm speaking all the time, where I'm speaking at a convention, 80% of the audience is women, and maybe there's 10 speakers, and 80% of the speakers are men and 20% are women, and one of the women is me and another's a doctor. And so most people are like, okay, well, she's the doctor, so I'm definitely not identifying with that. So I believe until enough women are on that stage teaching success principles, will we not get to a greater number? So do you feel now that there's still a disparity? Or do you feel that more girls in these upcoming generations are like, why not? Of course I could do that. Because these girls did it and I identify with them.
I bet it's probably 50-50. I think it all goes back to, as you said, the beliefs that are kind of instilled in you from a young age. And some girls will think that, they can achieve anything, and they will be the girls that will change the future. And then there'll be other ones that maybe, yeah, sure, I'd like to do that, but they might not take the risk to do it. So I think it's about just changing the mind frame. And I do think that there just needs to be more focus from the media, really showcasing successful females, because I don't think we hear enough about it. And I think, there's so much focus on sports and celebrity. I would actually like for there to be more focus on successful female entrepreneurs and, scientists and, just all these badass women that are out there.
Yeah, there are. They're just not spotlighted enough. And this isn't really about like bashing men versus women, but this is a true testament or statement of, if we don't see it, and in the younger generations don't see it, then it's harder for them to believe that it's possible. Going back to the beliefs, I know my girls have been surrounded by entrepreneurs, so entrepreneurship is not a scary thing for them. So they believe everyone's an entrepreneur, and they actually think like, why people have a job? Why would you? What do you mean? You like go to that's like weird for them. So I see that their paradigm is so different than the majority of people, which I'm totally cool with. But it really is something that has to be spotlighted and focused on. And I'm going to challenge you all to pay attention to something now that I focus on. Every time you see a speaker line up for a conference, I want you to count how many women there are and how many men there are, unless it's a women's conference, obviously. Whenever you see a conference that's really about success, then see what the difference in number is, and you'll all like crack up laughing now that I've pointed it out to you. But most people don't know this. I actually asked my friend who owns a very successful franchise. He owns the company and created it so it became franchised, and it's enormous. And I said to him, how many women have you had speak at your national conferences? And he looks at me and goes, none. But I did do it on purpose. Like it never hit me. Like I never thought of that before. And so a lot of it's not conscious at all. It's very subconscious, right?
Yeah.
So what happens when you hit that first, I know for me when I hit a goal and I'm like, okay, I'm here now. I'm like moving on to the next one. I thought it was going to feel more. Did you have that same sensation where you got that first one? You're like, all right, I think I need another one.
Oh yes, absolutely. Yeah, and until it got to the point where I was ready for something else. I was ready for a new challenge. I was ready for a new chapter in my life. And I think in order to be the best, you have to continue to appreciate the success that you've had, but at the same time, continue to raise the standards for yourself.
So what does that look like in the future for you? How do you take something that you've already been so expansively successful with in breaking down barriers and limitations? where does that next challenge go so that you're out of your comfort zone?
Well, I mean, it's kind of already happened. I've had 2 children now, and after my first child, after having Connor, I just, I just felt like this strong bond to want to help empower other females. And the most natural thing for me was through fitness. It's something that I've been really successful in. And I saw how much of a struggle it was for me to get back in shape after having my first son. And so I wanted to create this workout video while I was pregnant with my second child, and just to help all females to have an option out there to not only to be able to work out when you're pregnant, but I wanted to present like facts and let them know the benefits of why they're working out, the benefits for not only them, but also for their baby and for the future. And just to present something for them to feel better about themselves before and after, help the delivery, just kind of make everything about pregnancy more enjoyable. Because I saw what a struggle it was with so many women. So
what's the video?
It's heathermitz.empoweredpregnancy.com. And so I just did it. And it was so uncomfortable for me to do it. But at the same time, when I was done, I was so proud of myself. Yeah. It's out there, and it's just an option for females that are going through their pregnancies. I know how scary it is first time when you're pregnant. So hopefully, when women are having their second and their third child, this will be just something that if they ever want to use it.
I wish I had it. That's for sure. I actually also wish you lived in the city in the beginning. I see these mom workout groups all congregating down the street. I wish I had that.
It makes a huge difference. And I love to see I just love to see moms, supporting one another. I think it's really important. It's a hard world out there being a mom, and everybody has different situations. So just the more support that we can give to one another, and that is not only going to help us as moms, but it's also going to help our kids down the road, I think.
Yeah, I agree with that completely. I mean, they're watching everything that we're doing, saying, and more importantly, they're reading how we feel. And no matter what we say, if our energy and our body language are not meeting that, it doesn't matter. They see through it. And they totally know. So you did that, and we only have a couple minutes left, but what's the next video that you're going to create, or a speaking platform or movement? Because I know that you have the power to impact so many. So I know that you're not going to waste an ounce of that, knowing your dedication and commitment to self-improvement.
I don't know how much time we have, but my old teammate and I started a company. It's called Ceres, CERES, platinumgroup.com. And it's just helping recently retired, not only female athletes, but also entrepreneurs or just females in general that are maybe trying to transition to their second job. We saw how difficult it was for us. So we just wanted to put something in place. And it's also for, athletes that are still currently playing, because even though you don't want to think about it, eventually your career is going to come to an end. So it's continuing to brain yourself, continuing to try to, use the success that you're having now while you're playing and carry that on to when you're done.
And also prepare them. A lot of people don't realize, or they do, but they don't know how really prominent this issue is. There's a lot of athletes that have a lot of leverage when they're on the field or court, but their agents aren't necessarily setting them up to leverage that beyond the field or court. Exactly. So all of a sudden that career ends, which is already really challenging psychologically for an athlete, but then nothing was prepared for that leverage to continue. So you're really trying to solve that problem before that becomes a problem.
Yeah, and just be that support group for, just females in general. Once again, I'm saying it over and over. I just think it's so important for us to help one another. Mm-hmm. And for my soccer camps, I am trying to put in place things that they can not only learn from a soccer perspective. They're not coming to your house, are they, Jen?
They're sitting out front of it. City life.
Just to continue to share the experiences and the knowledge that I have, not only for on the soccer field for girls, but also, you know, how they can deal with social media and how they can deal with nutrition and, you know, confidence and all these things that are just not only going to help them on the soccer field, but more in life.
Yeah. Where are your camps at?
We are in discussions right now about holding it at, I'm trying to think, I'm totally blanking right now, but it's in like the King of Prussia area this winter. It'll be indoors once a week, and I'm really excited about it. I am totally blanking.
Are you still doing the ones back home in the summer like you used to? Yeah.
The one in Cincinnati, and then the one locally will be in the main line.
Okay. So if somebody can't have access to you physically, I know you're also launching an awesome platform where you're going to start to share more videos and content, tutorials, and that will just be at heathermitz.com, right?
Yeah, just trying to follow in your footsteps, Jen.
Girlfriend, you are way ahead for sure. And also, Heather, you're doing a lot more speaking to take these concepts from the field onto a platform to teach moms, to teach women, to teach young girls. So really taking all these principles and putting them into life stories to empower, inspire, teach belief systems and how important it is. And I feel like that, to me, is the next like super big platform where you're just getting started.
Yeah, hopefully we shall see. I'm so passionate about all these things, and luckily I had the opportunity to meet you, Jen, because you have been such an inspiration and such a role model for me. So I am just trying to follow in your footsteps, and I thank you for your guidance, obviously. And one other thing I wanted to say is your daughter is thinking about the whole entrepreneurial thing. I cannot wait to see grow up and what they do.
Thank you. I'm curious too. I get a little nervous sometimes. Every day they're starting a new something. So we might have some news for you for the summertime. So thank you. I'm so grateful that our paths have crossed as well. And I'm so excited to see all the lives that you'll continue to impact. And thank you for joining us today. And Maureen said she's following an, Maureen I helped when she first got started speaking, and she was so afraid. And she said, what do I do? And I said, just be yourself and tell everybody how nervous you are. And then you can actually, everyone's going to empathize with you. So
I'm going to remember that too.
Yeah, once we can be honest and transparent, say, I'm scared, people, everyone can support you so much more. But if we go out and we pretend we're not scared and we're obviously scared, and people can see right through it. So thank you, Eileen. Well, thanks everyone for joining us today and sharing your comments. And you can follow Heather. She's very active on Twitter, Instagram. Her heathermitz.com platform is continuously evolving and adding content right now and videos. And if you have young girls that want to be inspired, I highly recommend sharing it with them. So there's going to be a lot of great content. So anyway, thanks for joining us. Love you.
Thanks, everybody. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.